Not all families look alike, but we don't see representation of diverse family units in mainstream media. So I sat down with Anita and Ray to discuss how their beautiful family came to be.
Hi, my name is Anita Revilla, and I go by she and her.
I'm Ray, and I go by they, them.
Awesome. So I know that you two are related in your family. So tell us how this family unit came to be.
When I was 4, my mom reached out to her and asked her for help since she was struggling with some problems with her mental health. So I moved with her here.
And you said you were 4?
Yes.
And you're how old now?
14.
Wow, so that's like 9 years.
Mm-hmm. Ray is my niece. I grew up in Texas. I have a little sister, an older brother. My sister had 2 kids, Ray and Michael, and they were 3 and 4 years old. My sister has struggled with depression her whole life, and she's diagnosed bipolar with schizoaffective disorder. And I think it was at the height of her illness. She had had a major breakdown and was in the hospital. And I'm a education person, so I've been in school my whole life. I had finished undergrad, grad school. I had just finished my PhD, and I started teaching at Las Vegas at UNLV. And when my sister got sick, she asked me if I would take care of her and the kids. So they moved here, and it was still a lot of work because my sister, we didn't really understand the illness back then. Again, it was like almost 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, and we were just barely learning about what mental illness was like, what impact bipolar had, schizoaffective disorder. And so we didn't know what would the future look like. But she had these small children, and she asked me if I would help take care of them. So she came here and said, I have to go back to Texas. Can you please take care of the kids? And I never wanted to have any children. I, by choice, chose not to have children because I have always taken care of my family. I come from, extreme poverty, and I've taken care of my sister, my brother, my mom, financially, economically, all my life. And so I pretty much knew that one day I would have to take care of the kids, but I didn't know how soon it would happen. And so they came when they were 3 and 4, and now they're 13 and 14. And we've had a really intense, beautiful experience.
How has it been for you to live with your aunt?
I mean, I kind of don't remember my life in Texas, so it's like I've lived with her my whole life. I think I have been impacted by moving from there and what went on when I was younger, but mostly I'm just focused on how my life has been since I moved here.
So I'm a father of a 6-year-old who is not biologically mine, although I jokingly say that I gained weight carrying him. And I still have not yet to shed it. It's been the norm in my family that people raise each other's kids. And I was the same way. I thought that I would never have kids, grew up in extreme poverty, and was expected. I was the person they turned to. I always joke and say that my mother would give me the mail to read so that I can translate it. So I always had this leadership role, but I knew that I didn't want kids because when I got older, I was like, I don't want to have other responsibilities, and I kind of want to find freedom. And then my son came, and it totally shifted my life, and it's taken me, the things that I've learned about myself as a queer person, I would have never been able to learn without being a parent. And what has been the lessons for you in the past 11 years?
There are many. I think, first and foremost, I think it's important to recognize that children living in poverty, especially the college kid, right? There's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations on us. And like I said, I've emotionally and economically taken care of my family my whole life. And what happened when I got the kids was I had to start asking myself, what am I doing to take care of myself? And before that, everything I had done was for everybody else. It was for my mom, it was for the kid, for my family to help us get literally out of poverty. Even my activism was for my community, right? Everything that I did was focused on other people. But when I got the kids, it's like I want to focus on these two little beings, and I want them to be the most independent, autonomous, fierce, strong, intelligent young people to go out into the world, and I want them to feel supported, and still I need to figure out a way to take care of myself. And so my biggest lesson has been really thinking about how do you balance that, right? How do you both commit to raising children, loving them and nurturing them, and then also teach them how to be independent, autonomous, and not codependent, right? Because I think, again, being expected to take care of everybody else but yourself, that's seen as a good child, a good daughter, a good Mexican daughter, good Latina daughter, good Latinx child, and queer folk are expected to do everything for their families because we don't have the heteronormative, stereotypical families. And yet, we have to balance that and figure out a way where we're still taking care of ourselves and prioritizing our joy, our love, our desire, and being good role models for them so that they don't grow up to be codependent children.
So what's it been like for you growing up in what sounds like an amazing household? And how has it shaped you as a young person and specifically around your identity?
Different, but then like I go out with knowledge that people don't have. So when they like say something, I'm like, wait, that's not right. And then, yeah, it's weird, but yeah.
They say it's a lot of pressure, right? Because we're in therapy, right? I'm very committed to therapy, family therapy from, the minute I got them to now, weekly if we can, and individually if we can. But they say like, oh, we're so tired of living in a feminist house, they all, what is wrong with your aunt? Like, why, what's hard about living with her? And they say, well, she always wants us to be feminist. But literally being a feminist means like, thinking critically about everything you say, everything you do, and how you live your life.
Why do you think it's important to talk about like mental health specifically as a family unit, but also with young people? Because when people think mental health, they don't necessarily think about young people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that it's beneficial so that I'm not impacted as like greatly as other people would be if they weren't talking about it, or I'm not as ignorant as other people would be. Also, like, since depression is genetic in our family, so I can recognize if it like passes on to either me or my brother, because I do take care of my brother a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, as you pointed out, like it's been often stigmatized and or criminalized, right? I think people will think, it's easy to just be flippant about the, quote, crazy person in the street. But it's like, no, the word is offensive. It can be offensive, and we use it so flippantly. And so even myself, like I have to practice really having a deeper awareness and recognizing that when people are struggling with mental illness and they're, for example, without homes, that could easily be my sister, that could easily be one of my family members. And I always say we're one step from being that person, because literally living in madness is when you stop caring about everything and you literally start living in your pain. And my sister's living in her pain, and I would love to find healing for her, but I don't know how to do that, right? The medical industry doesn't know how to do that, and our society doesn't know how to do that. And so it's been my goal to teach the kids that their mom, didn't give them up, that their mom isn't, out of their lives, that their mom loved, like the most important thing my sister did was give me permission and trust me to raise her children, right? Because that's hard. Even if you're, ill, even if you're struggling, again, with poverty, with whatever, trauma and pain you're with, you still want to have your children with you. And so for my sister to literally sacrifice her children and give them to me, that is the biggest sacrifice. Whereas other people would say, oh no, well, where's their mom? You're the better person. And I challenge that because it's easier for me. I'm not mentally ill, right? I know what mental illness is, and I know how to deal with it, but I know I have all of this privilege, all of this education, and so for me it's easier to live my life than it is for her to live daily on a daily basis. Something that also has been really powerful is that my mom, who didn't get to go to college, dropped out of high school, got her GED, raised 3 kids on her own at the age of 30. When I came out to her as queer, bi, fluid, primarily I'm fluid, but started out bi. when I came out to her, she said to me, she's like, oh, that's good, mija. She's like, I think I'm bi too. She said, I only married your dad because I was expected to. And just having the freedom to be who you are, from her to me to the kids.
It's helped me because then I can actually not feel like I need to be in the social norm. Yeah, explore more about myself and not feel scared to like share it with her. While I'm in the process of doing that.
Thank you. I want to thank you for sharing your story with me, and most importantly, for sharing your story for those who are watching this. I can't even tell you, just by hearing it has provided me an affirmation, because a lot of times we think we're the only ones going through this. We don't see these kinds of families reflected. So I just want to thank you for being courageous and sharing your spirit and your story. Well, this is cute. Louie. Oh, hey. Well, I want to thank you for watching Kiki's with me, Louie. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe down below. And I want to hear your thoughts and experiences on this topic. So drop a comment, let's keep the Kikis going.